So folks, welcome. Thanks for joining us tonight. Welcome to our candidate session for District 11. We're so happy to host this and really pleased to see the level of engagement for the community and the competition that's ahead. So really pleased to hear from you tonight. For those of you who are kind of tuning into this race for the first time, just wanted to draw your attention that the Shabukto News has published various pointers from the candidates, a bit of a backgrounder and so on in their paper this month. So if you want to look at that online while the conversation's going on, that might be some additional information for you to consider. We are accepting questions over the various forums. If you're on the call, you can post questions here. We'll do our best to get to questions. If we can't get to them tonight, we promise to pass them on to the candidates so they can use them for speaking points and in preparation for their campaigns, but also give them the opportunity to come back to you or through us or directly, depending on whether we have access to your information. So the agenda tonight is that we're going to first hear from our president, Marjorie Willison, the president of the Spryfield Community Association, who will talk about tonight and a little bit about our association. And we're really pleased to welcome Stephen Adams here, our current councillor, long-time serving councillor, has done a great service for this community over the years. I'm just asking him to impart a little advice and thoughts and reflections as he enters his final phase of his role in council and welcomes one of you to assume the reins. Then around 7:15, we're going to move into asking each candidate to talk about why Spryfield should vote for them in the upcoming election. And so each candidate has up to 5 minutes to share their thoughts and to make their pitch. And we're going to be trying to keep this on a strict schedule. So that'll take us about 40-45 minutes to move through. And after that, then we're going to move to a Q&A part of the session. One of our community members is going to be managing the questions and posing them to you. Her name is Marnie, and she'll speak along the way. And then we're going to go through and ask questions to the candidates. Maybe we have some general questions to roll through. We may have a few targeted questions of certain candidates. We'll see what comes in. We can't wait to hear the conversation. And so we'll get to as many questions as we can. We'll start to wrap up certainly by 8:45. And then we'll end the session with just a few final words. So with that, just a quick safety tip. We're all hanging around our hood at the moment, our houses, and maybe not driving as much as usual. So a couple of things. We're into May, and I know I have my winter tires still on the car. So just keep that in mind when you're using your car, particularly in rainy conditions, that you should make sure that you get your tires changed out. If you're a biker or a pedestrian or other mode of transportation, just consider high visibility gear as we move into the next season. And I wish you safe travels over the next few months. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Marjorie Willison to say a few words of welcome.
Thank you, Anne-Marie. As I said earlier before we got started, I'm very, very proud to be part of Spryfield Community Association because it really is an organization about community. And we work hard to be as inclusive as we can. So for instance, we have as a placemaking project, our outdoor theater. And we've made sure that everybody feels welcome because we don't charge, but you can make a donation. And this past year, we worked hard to make sure that a sidewalk could eventually be built up towards the 500 block. And in fact, the work has started and is scheduled to carry on this year. We also held 2 public engagement sessions about what people wanted to see in the new high school. And we know that those ideas were attended to based on a report that we sent to government departments. We meet the last Wednesday of every month at 7 o'clock at the Captain's Prize Center. Everybody is welcome to sit in. You can attend 2 or 3 board meetings and decide if you want to get more involved, or you could be part of a committee. And I'm really pleased that so many candidates were able to participate tonight. And I welcome all the people who are listening in who want to hear what you have to say. Anne-Marie. Anne-Marie, you're mute.
Okay. I would be remiss without welcoming the candidates here tonight. Just to list off the candidates, it's quite a long list, which is really exciting for us. Lisa Mullen, Jim Hoskins, Matthew Duffy, Hannah Monday, Ambrose Matwana, Don Penny, Pete Rose, Bruce Holland, Matt Conrad, Kirsten Hollery. And that's the order we're going to speak in tonight, and the order of questions will rotate through. So with that, I'm going to ask Steve Adams to say a few words as we embark on this session. Steve?
Thank you, Anne-Marie. And there's a little earlier discussion about whether we're going to get through tonight by 8:30. We will get through by 8:30. It may be 8:30 tomorrow morning, but we're going to get through. First of all, congratulations to everybody who is putting your name forward. It takes a lot of courage to do this, and I'm sure you've heard people say you're crazy, you're nuts, what's wrong? Don't pay attention to them, not at all. Don't let anyone get you down. There's no job like this. There are ups and downs, hopefully more ups than downs, and you'll have not only a ton of challenges, but a ton of satisfaction from this as well. And I will be brief here, this is not gonna be long. What I would encourage you to do is speak to your local MLAs. We have 4. We have Brendan McGuire, Ian Rankin, Hugh McKay, and Lena Diab, and 2 MPs as well, Bernadette Jordan and Andy Fillmore. They have an inside track, if you will, on some of the issues that we're facing on a daily basis. I will tell you, it's a big area. It's huge. And if you were to leave West Pennant and take a drive to Westover at 3 in the morning, where there's no traffic lights or whatever, it's 1 hour. It is a gigantic area. It's got a ton of beautiful scenery. It's got a lot of diversity, a lot of people, some may say characters, but it's an amazing district. I did send out, I think to most of you, if not all, a list of contact names and phone numbers or emails with people. If I didn't get one to you, or if you've misplaced one, please let me know, I'll resend. And there's also a 2 to 3 page outline of the responsibilities, committees, commissions, boards, whatever that you'll be responsible to participate in should you be elected. I'll leave you with a couple things. Don't take anything personally that someone says to you. They don't mean it toward you. It's towards someone who is trying to be or wants to be a politician. It is not against you. Chances are people who say something mean to you don't even know you. And I pretty well bet my life on that. And do not get discouraged. You can knock on a couple doors if the virus permits, but you'll be meeting people one way or the other, on phone, on Facebook, by text, whatever. Do not get discouraged by any means. And the last thing, at any time, if you have a question, you want a little boost, call me. I'm there to support you in any way I can. Well, I'll try my very best to make the transition seamless from the swearing in November, and I'm there to help each and every one of you. You simply have to ask. Thank you, and good luck to everybody.
Thank you, Stephen. So we're going to move around all of the candidates now. I'm going to have a little bit of an icebreaker question for each of you. At the beginning, it's a really important question. I want to make sure you don't miss it.
Hello.
Hey,
Can
Jim.
you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know what way I'm rooting. I'm hoping that have one answer, not the other. So root beer or Coke, which do you prefer?
Root beer for sure.
I'm not with you. I'm not with you. But anyway, I'm sure
You
there are
can't
many
hear me?
people on the phone. No, we can hear you. So I'm going to,
Oh, okay.
we're starting the 5-minute timer. Please tell us why Spryfield should vote for you.
Well, I'll be as quick as I can because I hope Lisa can come back on the phone. My slogan for my campaign is "I've got your back." And welcome to everyone, my fellow candidates. I hope you're all well. I'm just going to give a little summary about myself, and I hope it will shed some light on a few things that I believe and why I'm a candidate for election as your new counselor. I'm married. I'm the proud father of two who grew up in Spryfield. I grew up in Halifax Peninsula in the North End, but I've lived in Spryfield now for 45 years. I've had a successful 36-year career and rewarding career as a police officer in Halifax. And I retired and decided to enter provincial politics in 2006 and again in 2009. Instead of running again in provincial politics, I decided to cut the rope on that one, and I decided to be a candidate in the 2012 election for District 11. Now, once again, I'm giving it a second try, and here are my reasons why. First of all, over the years in retirement, I've been very critical of HRM Council, and if one is to succeed in making positive changes for the district, then one has to be at the council table representing all the residents of District 11, especially those volunteer groups who make our communities in District 11 a better place to live, such as your group, the association. I know this district, and I know that we have made strides in many areas, but there's much work to be done. Many people have concerns about a bus route around the loop and better recreational and community halls in all of our communities, better fire, better police protection, such as stronger police presence and fire protection itself. Water issues still need to be continually addressed. Development needs to be carefully balanced so our communities are not flooded with hungry developers changing the landscape. I believe strongly in gun control, particularly handguns, and have held that position for many, many years to protect our families and communities from harm. There is no place in the home for a handgun or assault rifles. I will not support a CFL stadium when we need that $20 million in the reserves to get HRM back on its feet. I also believe in rent control, which is a great assistance for those who need sustainable housing. I owned a triplex for 17 years on Sussex Street. I know what renters go through, and we need to do more. Most important, I am best responding to the needs of the people as a counselor serves. As if I can cure a problem, then I will do my best to keep you informed, and I will always respond in writing. I am accountable only to you, the people of District 11, and would be proud to do so. We also have to get onto the peninsula, and this must be accelerated. What I mean by that is do something with the roundabout and up the Herring Cove Road. And finally, I have the leadership skills, the public service experience, and commitment, and I ask that you cast your vote for Jim Hoskins, and thanks again. Hello?
Perfect, Jim. Thanks so much.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Minute 41 to your bank. So if we get a question directly for you, we'll send it your way.
Excellent. Thank you.
Well, thanks. So we're over to Matthew Duffy. Matthew, my question for you is dog or cat?
Dogs. I have two.
Lovely.
Yes. All right. Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Matthew Duffy. I'm one of your candidates for the upcoming municipal election. First off, I'd like to extend my gratitude to the Spryfield Community Association for making this virtual candidates meeting happen tonight. I'm sure a lot of folks, including myself, certainly appreciate it, given the restrictions due to COVID-19 that we're all facing. It's nice to see lots of faces and everything like that. So to start off, I'd like to say that I'm deeply passionate about our communities, and I'm proud to call District 11 my home. And I was born and raised here in Prospect, specifically McGrath's Cove has been my home community. As a kid, I often found myself at the Captain William Spry pool, learned how to swim there, and hosted quite a few birthday parties as well. In Sambro, I was there quite often. My father was a career fisherman, so I was always down there buying, selling fish, lobster, whichever. And while I may only be 25, I believe being younger gives me an unparalleled opportunity to be a true supporter of issues like recreational activities, accessibility within the community, public transit, community transit, to name a few. I'm not afraid to be a strong and steadfast voice on difficult issues, and I believe that we as a city, specifically council, must work together to eliminate wasteful spending of tax dollars. I've seen this firsthand through my community and volunteer work at the Terrence Bay Community Hall Association. We took the building over from HRM, and I seen some of the things that they were paying for, and now that we've taken it over and we're paying a fraction of those costs. So finding ways to save dollars to make it go farther, to be put back into our community to better them, are all things that I would definitely proudly support, including our community halls, parks, ball fields, things like that. Holding myself accountable to my own set of values is key. It's something that I carry through in my career and in my everyday life. Those are maintaining honest communication, being reliable, and maintaining a strong commitment to everything that I do. So I always put in 100% to the best of my abilities, and that's what I would plan to carry forward if elected on council. One thing that I love about living in District 11 is that there's a very strong sense of community. That sense of community is demonstrated to me by looking at how our community has grown over the years and how we've done it together. Our community infrastructure has grown and it's been updated greatly, and that's thanks to residents and community leaders groups like the Spryfield Community Association, among many others. Programs for youth, seniors, and families have continued to grow, many of which were not offered when I was younger growing up in the area, and much of which I wish had been. Working together has grown our community, and I hope to be able to continue supporting the positive growth as councillor. So on October 17th, I hope that you'll vote for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthew. I think you have some time in the bank as well. So with that, I think I'm going to turn it over to Hannah now. My important question for her is coffee or tea?
There we go. I'm new to Zoom. Coffee or tea? Oh, it depends on the time of day. Coffee in the morning, tea after lunch.
Just like
I'm
me.
an equal opportunity hot beverage sort of a person.
Very good. Well, go ahead, please, Hannah.
Hello, hi. I want to start off by thanking the Spryfield Community Association for giving us all this opportunity. As Matt said, and I know we're probably all wrestling with under the COVID restrictions, this is going to be a different kind of a campaign. And it's just nice to see all of your faces. Hello to my fellow candidates. Good evening. I look forward to talking with you all again over the coming months. And I'll try to keep this brief because I think answering questions is probably the most important thing we can be doing this evening. So a little bit about me. I'm a South Shore native. I grew up outside of Bridgewater. And like so many people, moved to Halifax to go to school. I went to the University of King's College and lived in St. Margaret's Bay briefly. And then I moved to Hatchet Lake in Prospect in 2007. I have 3 boys. They are eating me out of house and home currently. And they are very excited to see the entire electoral process a little bit from the inside. They're my biggest fans, which I really appreciate. I wanted to get involved in council initially. I've been thinking about this for many years, and there were a lot of big plans coming. There's the center plan, there's lots of growth in the city, both on the peninsula and in the outlying areas. There's lots of discussion about the active transportation plan, how we can have sustainable development, how we can make sure that the urban and rural parts of Halifax draw on each other's strengths and grow together so that we can all be more prosperous, and hopefully so that kids like mine can stay here and make a career and a life. And I still think all of that is very, very important, but with the changes that have come from COVID, it's even more important now that we have compassionate, intelligent, reliable people on council to help guide Halifax through this crisis that we're in and rebuild the city in a way that makes sense for everybody. I think what COVID showed was some of the structural issues maybe that are facing people who live here in terms of affordable housing and reliable transport to and from work. And these types of things have really been thrown into stark relief by what's been going on for the past couple of months. So it's definitely a daunting challenge, but it's kind of fired me up even more. I really want to be at the council table representing all of District 11 as we try to move forward and put Halifax on a path to future prosperity and sustainability. And I'm going to stop there because, like I said, I'd like to leave some of my time for questions. But again, thank you all very much.
Wonderful. Thanks, Hannah. Can't lose track of the time. So we're going to head to Ambrose now. Ambrose, my question for you is whether you like to fold clothes or do the dishes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, that's good. Just checking. I like to do both. I like to be a helper to my I like to be a helper to my partner. I'd like to thank you, the Spryfield Community Association, for this event. I'm not used to Zoom. This is something very new. I like, you know, face-to-face type of meetings. So, but of course, with COVID-19, you know, we all have to adapt to different methods. I'd like to also thank you, all the other candidates, and wish them all the best in the coming months. I was born, I'm 57 years old. I was born in the Democratic Republic of Congo, lived in Canada over 40 years, and here in Spryfield, 10 years. I have three children, 2 daughters and a son, a 29-year-old daughter, a 30-year-old daughter, and a 10-year-old attends Central Spryfield. I love Spryfield, and but beyond that, I've also been all over the district. You know, my campaign manager gave me a ride. Like Steve was saying, this is a huge, huge district. Wow, it's intimidating. I'm kind of I'm probably one of the only ones that was never born in Canada, but I think that I love my district, and I'm hoping that I'm able to be at City Hall in the coming months to represent this district. I'm big on community and also diversity, you know, and I believe that, you know, and family. I think COVID has taught us a lot of values that, you know, a lot of people came out this time around with this crisis and helping each other, neighborly. You know, that's a big word that came out here. I can say, as far as leading, I've coached high school soccer, I've coached club soccer, and I've coached university soccer and internationally. So leadership is natural. There's always you know, challenges that come with it. I'm not worried, you know, about challenges. You know, I think that I want to be a strong voice if I get in to represent this district in the right way. Obviously, a councillor has a responsibility that are already there, whether it's fire, transit, recreation, crime, bylaw, development, but there are obviously things that we can do extra that can improve our community. And I believe that you know, some of the candidates have touched on a number of things that I'm passionate about, like affordable housing. I mean, I'm hearing people in the community who are struggling as well, and I believe Jim touched on landlords. That's something that really has to be addressed with the crime part of it, what just has happened to our Nova Scotia here. I think handguns and rifles and those things have to be addressed, and how they're regulated as well. I was really fortunate in connecting with the Boys and Girls Club as a member of their board of directors a few years ago, and I was also volunteered with Debbie Clark with Spryfield Soccer, just to get in touch with my community, Spryfield Sharks Soccer Club off of Heron Cove. So I'm not gonna sit here and promise everyone everything. I think that all I can say is that as issues come, I will try to be a voice for my my district, and I want to be a strong voice. I want to be a strong voice for whatever comes down. But of course, with the projects that will come in each part of the district, I think that if I can work with everyone, we can come with solutions that are, that are very beneficial to our community. I speak French. I am bilingual, so I mean, that may come up. One of the things that I really have come across is diversity within the district. I found out that the voting percentage is low because a lot of people don't vote. So I'm hoping this time around with the different type of candidates here, the dynamics may change and make us make more people come out to vote this time around. Wishing everyone the best. I'm gonna cut it short.
Thank you, Ambrose. That's not my bad manners. That's the timer. I didn't want to use the phone sound, but what do you know?
No problem.
Thank you so much, Ambrose. Pleasure to hear from you.
Okay.
So with that, we're going to move on to Dawn Penny. Is Dawn Penny able to come to the... Oh, there you are, Dawn. Yeah, just need you to come off mute. Perfect. So Dawn, my question for you is whether you like to bike or walk.
Well, both are active forms of transportation, so I like both. Prefer to walk, I would say, though I do own a bike.
Perfect. Thanks. So over to you. Thank you.
Wonderful. Well, my name is Dawn Edith Penny, and after my impressive campaign challenge against the 25-year incumbent Mr. Adams in District 11 during the 2016 municipal election, I feel I'm even more committed now and passionate about making positive changes and taking actions that create solutions that help the Spryfield community and all of District 11. I want to help people individually, I want to help families, but I also want to help the community as a whole and try and see how we can act locally and affect things globally in a positive way. My desire to put my name on the ballot is based on the fact that I feel like I'm able to represent people because of how well I actively listen. I'm not much of a talker. I don't like to pay lip service. I'd prefer to listen and then take actions on what I'm hearing. I consider myself an environmentally friendly candidate because I care about the earth and how we impact it. It's our home and we should take care of it, because if we take care of the earth, then we're taking care of ourselves. I'm a candidate who cares about not just the financial well-being of others, but also the physical and social well-being of others. And I feel like having accessibility for people is important, whether they're living rurally, suburban, or in a suburban area or an urban area of the community. My maiden run was in the Halifax Regional Municipality for school board during the 2012 municipal elections. My competitor helped me a lot to be accessible in the community, and I hope to take that stance here too and lift up my competitors and just give them, I don't know, so much support from me, because I know how hard it is to run in an election and put your name out there and become so vulnerable. Yeah, thank you so much for putting on this. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak to everyone and to see everyone's faces and to not feel so alone. And yeah, I think I'll end it there, and looking forward to the rest of the questions.
Perfect. We hopefully get some for you personally, Dawn. Thank you so much. With that, over to Mr. Rose. So, Mr. Rose, I have an inkling as to the response here, but the question is, do you prefer a big party or a small gathering?
There's times for both, but I can certainly tell you that I love to entertain and love to be in a group of people. So I think big party is definitely my choice for that.
Perfect. Well, if you're lucky, all of this will go well, and you'll be at the table for the final election and be able to have a party then.
I hope so. That's my plan. Thank you very much to the association for putting this on. This is a great opportunity, as everybody else has said, for all of us to have FaceTime. You know, there's many of the candidates that I don't know personally and haven't met, and it's great to see each of your faces, so that we, you know, we're going to be spending a lot of time over the next few months, or a bunch of months here, talking to each other, and so this is great. For everybody that doesn't know who I am, my name is Pete Rose. I'm 43 years old, live in Ketch Harbor. Lived in Ketch Harbor now for just about 16 years. It'll be 16 years in September. I grew up in Cape Breton. Once I moved up here after graduating from university, you know, lived in a few different apartments throughout the city, and then once it came time for me to purchase my first home, fell in love with out here in Ketch Harbor. You know, being close to the ocean is certainly an important thing for me, as growing up in Ketch Harbor, or growing up in Cape Breton. So being out here, I've been very fortunate to be involved with some great organizations, some great groups. I'm one of the co-chairs for the Ketch Harbor Area Residents Association. We have spent, we're a very active community, and which mimics most and all of the communities of District 11. We all have fantastic senses of community and population. And I know that I've helped over the past several years. I've had the opportunity to talk to different groups. One of the things that we did that is most noteworthy is we took over the fire station. Once HRM Fire decided to divest away from it, we took that over, and we've turned it into a thriving community hall. A lot of sweat equity, a lot of hours, plus a lot of negotiations and talking with the 3 different levels of government. We've worked on grants and different things, and secured funding, and it's been a wonderful experience. My background, I have a business degree, has started out in engineering, and I'm certainly minded that way. I've worked the last 16, 17 years in telecommunication, and doing everything from technicians to my most recent role here as a construction project manager. Been responsible for building and developing budgets, tendering projects, design, dealt with myself, budgeted between $10 and $15 million a year. where you have to dot every I, cross every T. You're being responsible to a private owner. Money is tight. So always responsible to find efficiencies. And that's one of the my skill sets. I've kind of diverse and I'm handy in a lot of different things, but my leadership skills, my knowledge of construction and project management and management of money, I know that I can get involved, and I'm eager to sit down at the council table and help, because we all know that there is money. There's money that gets spent, maybe not always the most efficient way, or in the way that our district wants it. So I know that I can be that positive voice for everybody from District 11. In my job, I've had the opportunity to travel this province from tip to tip, as well as most of Atlantic Canada and even most of the country. So I know that I can do everything that needs to be done. I don't stray away from the hard decisions. I can take them head on. I'm personable, approachable. Integrity is one of the major things that I pride myself in. I will always be honest, upfront, and transparent. I think that that's the only way to be in business and in life. Anyway, I'd like to save some time for questions and answers as well. So I certainly look forward to people throwing some hard questions at me. Oh, maybe I'm running out of time, but I appreciate it, and I hope I can count on everybody's support.
Thank you, Pete. You forgot to mention that you had the best mustache of all the candidates.
Well, that's not self-declared. I take no harm. That somebody else said that. I won't necessarily disagree.
Most rarely, at least.
Definitely.
Very good. Thanks so much. So we're over to Mr. Holland, and I would like to know from Mr. Holland if he prefers horror or comedy movies. Mike, put on your mic.
Definitely comedy.
Comedy, perfect. I don't know if our Moonrise movies have shown too many comedies. I've been to a few horror movies there at the Urban Farm that have been quite funny. Yes. So join us again whenever we're able to show these again in the summertime.
That's a great thing that the Community Association does there.
Yeah, thank you. We're looking forward to being able to do it again, and hopefully it's not too far away. So Bruce, over to you for 5 minutes.
Thank you. To start, I would like to thank the Spryfield Community Association for putting this event on. It's a great opportunity for all the candidates to let people know, who they are and what their experience is. I thank you for being the moderator, and Marjorie for hosting, and Michael for being the coordinator. Great job. I do want to thank, too, all of our frontline responders out there that are helping us get through this coronavirus episode, and for all the hard work that they do. It's just incredible. Some of us are able to work from home, but many of them have to go to work, and it's really, really incredible what they do to keep the world going. I'm going to give you a little bit about my background, and then talk a little bit about my experience, and a little bit about what I see for the future of District 11. My background, basically, I was born and raised in Shad Bay in a family of 8 children. My first house was in Prospect Village. We lived there for 5 years, then Terrence Bay Road for 17 years, and then we moved to Brookside for 12 years. So I've been around I've lived in the community my whole life. The last 11 years I spent as the executive director of the Spryfield Business Commission and volunteering for many groups out in the Spryfield area. I'm currently a member of the YWCA Advisory Council for Women's Economic Empowerment. I'm on the board of the Long Lake Provincial Park. I'm on the board of St. Paul's Food Bank, and have served on many, many, many other committees and organizations as a volunteer. And I'm quite proud of my volunteerism over the years. I have also been an elected official, having been elected to Halifax County Council, and was pleased, honored to serve there. We've had many accomplishments there, including the development of the current recycling program, which is world renowned and is being used all over the world. Also served 5 years as a MLA for Timberley Prospect, and we had many accomplishments there, including our professional EHS ambulance service that now exists. The twinning of the 103 was started at that time, and I was pleased to serve as the Minister of Science and Information Technology and the Minister responsible for the Sport and Recreation Commission. In terms of the future for District 11, you know, when we were fortunate enough to get 2 campaign rallies in before the COVID hit. And at those rallies, we had about 100 people at each rally. And we heard from a lot of seniors, people from right across the socioeconomic spectrum. And one of the things you hear a lot is, look after the basics. Look after the streets and the roads and the playgrounds and the trails and the parks and the skate parks. And that's what people want. They want you to make sure that you do a good job at getting those basic things done. Plowing in the wintertime, all those things that need to be done as a counselor. And I look forward to doing that. The other thing is that we heard a lot, and I do hear a lot as I talk to people, as I phone them, and is seniors. Seniors would like to see more seniors programs. So that would be another thing that I would work on. Another gap that has occurred is we haven't had a review of the land use bylaws or the municipal planning strategy for District 11 in 30 years. And without that, you get all kinds of different developments happening. But if you can do that review and update those land use bylaws and the municipal planning strategy for the area, that will ensure that things are done properly. So I'll leave it there. Thank you very much again, and I look forward to the rest of the evening.
Perfect. Thanks, Bruce. Too many things. The mute button or shutting this thing off. It's like the morning alarm, except I'm smiling. Thanks, Bruce. So we're off to Matt. So Matt, the question for you is, do you prefer TV or books?
If I said books, I'd be lying. So I'll say TV. And I wouldn't be honest. Yeah. Yeah, sorry. So yeah, a little bit about me. Born and raised in District 11. So I was born in Herring Cove, grew up in Herring Cove, and currently live in Prospect. So I went to William King Elementary, Herring Cove Junior High, and Jail Lilsley. I'm deeply proud of not just my community, the district, but also my province. So over the years, at a young age, since I've made this announcement, I have to say I've been extremely humbled. So about the outreach, I want to also thank you guys for putting this on, because obviously this is it's a difficult time for people to, for us to get out and the candidates to get out and actually communicate with people. And that's the most important. Also, just a quick thank you out to Steve Adams. He has reached out to everyone who's reached out to him, and he's bridged that gap. So thank you. So yeah, I've been trying to, since a very young age, wanting to do whatever I can to best represent not only the district, but just the community, the province. And whether it be from at a young age, church involvement, I've been involved in some of the community family days. Many of us were involved in the Getting Long Lake Provincial Park established the way it is currently. And I do believe in working in with every form of level of government, nonpartisan. I want whoever is the current person in the position in government, I believe in working with them for what's best for the community. Currently, I'm working at Allstate Insurance. I am the manager of Dartmouth Crossing, so that can kind of give you an idea of some of my experience. I obviously in management, so I am working with large budgets, working with people, working with head offices, negotiating, all those types of skills that I feel that I can actually bring to the table. I've had, I'm lucky that I have a company that not only can I build brand awareness, but give back to the community. I was a part of an event, one of many, to help fund and then fundraise almost $5,000 for Jail Leslie. I've been able to achieve some funding for sidewalk safety, because being in insurance, I strongly believe in our roads being safe. And although not in our community, I was one of a proud achievement that I have was achieving a $15,000 donation to Dartmouth General Hospital through my company, which was obviously with frontline workers. There's some amazing things that get done at Dartmouth General, and I was really proud to be able to be a part of that, one of many. And I guess last on top of that would be I'm a current I'm on the board of Med Canada for HRM. Again, something that safe roads is something that really is important to me. In terms of moving into the future, I'm committed to getting investment into our community. I play competitive football. I enjoy tennis. I'm not good at it, but I enjoy playing it. I play a little bit of ball hockey, and yes, there's just some things that I believe a happy community is one that's an active community. And that would be one that we can get activities for people of all ages, young and our seniors need to have some activities as well, whatever they may be. So outdoor activities are going to be top priority for me, and having safe roads and having safe environments are key. I threw the question out there earlier this week about if we could create a wish list. I really want to emphasize that promises can be dangerous. I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver, but one thing I can promise is that I will advocate, and I will be that squeaky wheel to get everything that we possibly can and negotiate what's best for us. But some of the things that are wish lists that were thrown out, dog park comes up a lot, and I think Spryfield, Herring Cove, Sambro, Prospect, thank you, has all been there. And I think we can look at some of those things. So when moving forward, my last thing is I believe that running a city council is a lot like running your home, and we need to balance that way. And I really hope that you will consider me, and I look forward to speaking to you in the future. Thank you so much.
In by the skin of your teeth. Thanks, Matt. I want to hear the sound of this one. So you have 3 seconds in the mic. This is what I do for fun. These days, at least. So thanks very much, Matt. We've got 2 more candidates to hear from. We're going to move on to Kristen Hollery and then back to Lisa Mullen. I believe she's waiting on a phone line, so look forward to hearing from you again, Lisa. Wanted to just remind people that we've got a few questions in the queue, but not a ton, which means success for getting through our questions, but we want to make it lively and keep our candidates on their toes. So you can post questions to the chat that can either go directly to Marnie or it can go to everyone. She'll monitor both and put them in the queue. And then those of you who are on Facebook Live will believe there's a way for you to post your question there. So with that, we're going to move to Kristen Hollery. And now that I see Kristen, I see that I have danced with her before at a parent dance at the school. So pleased to see you, Kristen. So Kristen, the question for you is whether you prefer pancakes, waffles, or French toast.
Oh, waffles for sure. Especially Belgian waffles with the whipped cream and the strawberries. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay.
That's my go-to for birthday parties as well, when you have sleepovers, because the kids think they're in heaven.
Very good. Off you go.
Okay. So good evening, everyone. I'm Kristen Hollery. I am, well, as I mentioned, a mom of 3. So I have a grade 12 who's one of the seniors that are being affected by COVID. So she's a little upset. I also have a grade 9 who's being affected by COVID. And I have a little boy in grade 7. I grew up in Spryfield. I was passionate. My kids were growing up in Spryfield. We were all going to graduate from JL. So it looks like, well, hopefully we'll all graduate at least in some way from JL. So I have lived here my whole entire life. I went to GK Butler before I became Captain William Spry, Elizabeth Sutherland, and JL. I have always loved the community of Spryfield. I am passionate about Spryfield. I still work here. I run St. Paul's Family Resources Institute. I'm also a Spark leader, a guide leader, and I've worked on SACs, and I've been president of Home and Schools, and so I'm all about community building and people. I think they're important, and people need voices. In my work, I work in poverty and food security. So those are my 2 passionate areas, and I really believe that Halifax needs to work on our food security and making sure people have access to affordable food and ways to get it, whether it's transportation and I do feed some of Prospect, some of Beachville Lakeside Timberley. I feed Whites Lake. It's amazing the area that my food bank actually covers. But we need to look at people's accessibility, and that has been really prevalent during COVID-19. People are scared to even get on buses to come get food. So we've been figuring out how to work on that piece, but it's definitely a gap that has been noticeable during this time, access to food and even how we're getting food. I sit on the board of Feed Nova Scotia, so they're also struggling with food and food security and making sure that people that live in precarious situations as it is have access to those foods. So that would lead me to affordable housing and transportation, and all of those pieces that play into poverty and food are my passions right now. I don't have a whole lot to say. I've just come on here in the last little bit to, I just declared my candidacy not that long ago. But I am passionate about the community and all the outlying areas, and I want everybody to feel connected. So I want to build this community so that we feel connected, that Terrence Bay and Sambro and Bear Cove and everybody feels like they're connected and that they're together, because I feel like we may not feel that way as one district, and I know it's large, but I feel we need to build on those pieces if we're all sharing in the same kind of district and community. And that's what I'm all about, is people. And I want to listen. I listen to people all the time, and I problem solve. And that's what I hope to do as your candidate for District 11, is listen and then help you problem solve in whatever your area is. And that's about all I have to say. So we're getting close to the end.
You've got a minute in the bank. Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm good.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Kristen. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
And I think now with that, we're back to Lisa. Lisa had already told us at the start that she prefers chips to chocolate. So more chocolate for me. Lisa, are you able to connect? Can't hear you, Lisa.
Hello.
Hi.
Can you hear me now? Hi.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for giving me a reboot. So
no
we're on to
worries.
Lisa take two.
You're sounding a lot clearer and
Well,
more
thank
quickly
goodness.
speaking. It wouldn't have done you any justice to continue on the previous path. So
I would probably take in most of my 5 minutes just stuttering through it.
No, that's great. So you're off with 5 minutes to go.
Okay, great. Thank you very much again for the opportunity to speak for the second time. And thank you to the Spryfield Community Association for hosting this and all of my fellow candidates. This is a great opportunity for us to speak to why we are passionate about doing this. As Steve Adams said at the very beginning, you know, don't let it get you down. So there are internet trolls out there. There are people out there who are probably throwing some shade our way. So it's really great to come together and feel like we're part of a team. So that's great. As everybody knows, my name is Lisa Mullen. I've lived in Shad Bay for 25 years with my family. Like Matt Duffy, we're out this end of the sticks, and I've been here working in my community for 25 years. I'm very passionate about crime prevention initiatives and local things. You know, I was involved, I had the lovely opportunity to be a stay-at-home mom for 10 years and raise my kids. And while I did that, I was part of the school advisory council. I joined Citizens on Patrol. I was part of a citizen engagement group for a skateboard park. I chaired the Prospect Road Organization for Better Environment when we were when this area was looked at seriously for the asphalt plant. I was involved with the RCMP program for a lot of years as a volunteer, as a community volunteer, and I spearheaded the Safe Seniors program for a number of years out here. And I was also, from the inception until the opening of the doors, part of the Prospect Road Community Center Steering Committee. I held various roles in that organization over the time that we were struck so that we could get our community center open, which I am proud to say has been open now for over a decade and is doing extremely well. I have also been, outside of this community, been involved in some provincial initiatives in terms of crime prevention, Crime Stoppers Nova Scotia. I was the founding chair of the HRM Crime Prevention Association. And I've also been involved with the Royal Nova Scotia International Tattoo for the last 16 years. Outside of that, my working life, when my time as a stay-at-home mom expired, I am now the executive director of a charity called the Marguerite Center, which is a recovery home for women healing from addiction and abuse. I've been there for 8 years, and I have been extremely involved in moving the needle on homelessness, poverty, and social justice. In my capacity as an executive director, I have spent many times forming collaborations with other women-serving organizations, such as the YWCA in Spryfield is a great partner with us, Alice House, Elizabeth Fry Society, just to name a few, some of the women's homeless shelters. In that capacity and in those collaborations, we've done a lot of work with HRM in the homelessness partnering strategy. We've worked closely with the Affordable Housing Association of Nova Scotia and IPONS, the Independent Property Owners of Nova Scotia. We've been doing a lot of work in terms of housing and homelessness. I'm very passionate about tax dollars being spent efficiently, and as probably a lot of you have experienced with Mr. Adams sitting on the budget deliberations in the last couple of days, there's a couple of things that have struck me. And one of the things that Council passed yesterday morning was the social policy. And I'm very pleased about that because that will help inform work going forward. Some of the things that have struck out to me in terms of those budget things were the business improvement districts and talking about sidewalk closures and pedestrian access. And I think that that speaks significantly to the Spryfield area because there is such a thriving business area there that is starting to grow, and that has been growing significantly over the last 10 years. I'm very passionate about making sure our tax dollars work for us, and being the executive director of an organization, I have lots of experience in writing budgets, business plans, sitting on steering committees and associations, working with our collaborative partners and stakeholders, being beholden to stakeholders, answering questions, maintaining guidelines, and those types of things. So I feel I would be very efficient and effective at maintaining that and being a huge advocate for the District 11. I'm also passionate to make sure that the taxes that we pay in District 11, oh, there's my time. There's my time.
You can finish your thought, Lisa.
Okay, I was just saying, I just want to make sure that we get the services that we pay for, because we do pay for our city taxes, and that we need to have a strong voice in City Council to make sure that we don't get pushed to the wayside. So on October 17th, I'm hoping that a vote for me is a vote for a strong voice.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lisa. Thanks so much, and I'm glad the tech worked out. So with that, we're at 8 o'clock and we had 10 candidates, so we needed all that time. You all did very well to get it in under the buzzer. So we're going to move now to the Q&A portion of our session, and you know, it never rains but it pours. So we've got 18 questions at least in the queue. So we'll see how we can do that justice over the next little bit. For those of you who've been sitting down for a while, you may want to put your camera off. Off for a minute and stretch, walk around. But I'm going to turn it over to Marnie now, and I'm going to exit the screen, and Marnie will come on and pose some questions to you. I will also just be keeping a buzzer, so we're going to move through the order of Lisa first, Jim second, Matthew, Hannah, Ambrose, John, Pete, Bruce, Matt, and Kristen to start, and then we'll keep moving along to position 2 and so on, and rotate through that way. And you have a minute to answer the question. It won't be super strict, but we'll try to get you your main thoughts on the table within a minute. Okay, so I'll be using my buzzer again. Thanks.
Okay, so the questions were just rolling in there a minute ago, so hopefully we'll have a chance to get to them all. So I'll start with this one. Just, it was an early one for everyone, and it is, what would you do to make District 11 more inclusive so that we have concrete actions and not just pay lip service?
Okay, so I think that's me first, right?
That's right.
Okay.
Lisa?
So to make this district more inclusive, I think that we have to have some great representation on the transit committee to make sure that the needs of people who do not live in the downtown core are taken into consideration with the new BRT plan that is now on hold. I think this gives us an opportunity to have a little bit more input. I also think that it is super important that we continue to have conversations with other stakeholders and partners like the Health Authority to make sure that we have wraparound services for individuals experiencing poverty and homelessness, to make sure that they are located in the community and or that they have access to them. And that means transit, that means paid fares, that kind of thing.
Perfect. So over to Jim. Did you hear the question, Jim? going to keep rolling and come back to Jim. Matthew.
Yeah, I would echo a lot of what Lisa said as well, and it all comes down to the person in that leadership seat to be able to put those plans in place, work with the community to help implement all that, and also listen to their ideas, to ensure that community inclusivity is top of the list for all communities. Transit is definitely certainly at the top of the list. In Prospect, there is no transit, and I know there was surveys done that looked into it. It wasn't really something that the community wanted at that time. Perhaps down the road, you never know. But continuing to keep an open dialogue with all residents, ensure that those needs are met, are certainly important.
Okay, thank you, Matthew. On to Hannah.
Always takes me a second to find that mute button. Yeah, I would definitely echo what Lisa had to say about transportation. That's very important, particularly on the Prospect side of the district where we have no transit service at all, as Matt mentioned. The other thing about inclusivity is that it's a big question. You're talking about equality of opportunity for everyone. And I actually think a big part of that is building the whole community desire to focus on inclusivity. I think that getting into the schools and engaging, particularly the junior high and high school level, engaging the kids in the concept of inclusivity and building that type of community is a really good way to get to their parents as well, and to build a community will toward the kind of projects we would then need to provide that service, which is then things like transportation and community health supports. And oh, there's my timer. But yeah, I think we need to build community will for inclusivity, and that would be how I would go about it.
Thanks, Hannah. Over to Ambrose.
Oh, there's my mic. Thank you very much there. So that's a wonderful question for me. Being the only Black candidate, so inclusiveness is definitely high up there. But yeah, that's a good one, because I listened to all the candidates as well tonight. Nobody mentioned diversity. I was kind of surprised, but using Spryfield alone, and I got to about 100 doors before COVID came around, and I saw I saw a lot of diversity. I saw different types of people, and some of them didn't think they needed to vote because it didn't matter. So some of what Hannah just mentioned now, it's really important to be inclusive. Let's include everyone. It's a community's togetherness, unity, and whether it's East Dover, Pennant, Sambor, it doesn't matter. We have to work together to get solutions done. And I think that there goes my time.
Okay, thank you, Ambrose.
You're welcome.
Over to Dawn.
Okay, yes, I think the way to practice inclusivity the best is to practice what you preach. So I hope that people in this district can elect someone, like someone that has a womb or someone that's a person of color, to represent inclusivity on council. And then it'll just branch from there, because if, let's just say, a little girl or a little boy wants to be in politics one day, and if they look and see someone that looks like them, then maybe they feel like they have a valid opportunity to put their name on a ballot. And if you want to go and look at inclusivity for constituents, I don't think you should be running in an election if you're not willing to represent all your constituents. It's an all or nothing in democracy, in my opinion. And even though I know you cannot please everybody all the time, you can definitely please a majority of the people a majority of the time. And I think that's what a candidate should strive for. Thank you.
Thank you, Dawn. And on to Pete.
There we go. Actually, I'll just get you, if you don't mind, Anne-Marie, just to refresh the question, just so that we're all back on the same page here and we don't get off on a tangent.
Sorry, that's me. It is, what would you do to make District 11 more inclusive so that we have concrete actions and not just pay lip service?
All right, perfect. So inclusivity, I think that as Stephen Adams touched on earlier, this district is huge, and there is a diversity between the actual geographical space that we take up, which creates different challenges for inclusivity. The first part is to really get a handle on it, each of the different areas of the district, and see what we can do for each one. Each one will have, as I said, different challenges. But if we continue to work as a group, I think that we can do that. Everybody's touched on some of the big topics. Transit, Prospect's not the only place without any transit. So is most of the Sambro-Spryfield loop. And I know that's a hot topic, and I know that part of what my plan will be to create some inclusivity of this district is to work with all of the couple of MLAs and our MPs, and work together to have it as a broad plan, not just municipal, but municipal, provincial, and
Thank you, Pete. Over to Bruce.
Thank you. You know, my team, election campaign team, is made up of people from all races, religions. We have a youth committee as part of the campaign. And I think in order to be inclusive, you need to make sure that once you're elected, that you keep that going, that you have give people an opportunity from any race, any religion, any color, any ethnic group to funnel in to your thought process. And so that's what I would do as your representative. I would make sure that I regularly meet with those groups and perhaps even form committees that I would meet with on a regular basis. Thank you.
Great idea, Bruce.
Thank you.
Over to Matt.
All right, thank you for the question. So when I heard the and I think about inclusivity, it really it incorporates a lot. So it incorporates obviously people with just different physical abilities, yes, race as well, and religions and just our community as a whole. So there are very, very different. We have different needs throughout the whole district. And we need to have an inclusive district as well. That's a broad question that I might need more than a minute for, but inclusivity is someone who plays sports, everyone's included. And I think that that's a great way to include everybody. And Long Lake having the accessibility now to people who may not have had it before due to mobile issues, I think is a great thing. It's a broad question, but I keep it front in mind. Everyone should enjoy the community.
Thank you, Matt. So over to Kristen.
Sorry. When I think of inclusivity, I always think of knowledge is power. So I always think bringing people together and exploring the differences and giving people a way to learn about somebody else's culture, background, differences, and that's the way I would build inclusivity, is by knowledge. Whether we go into schools, whether we have community events that bring cultures and communities together, is how I think that building community and learning about differences. Right now we're in Ramadan, and there's so many interesting things about Ramadan that people just don't understand and don't know, but so many of our community is Syrian now, that we should be celebrating with them as well. But that's how I envision inclusivity, is celebrating other people and their cultures and their diversity.
Thank you. So with that, I think we've gone through all the candidates. So we're going to move to question number 2, Marnie. The first person to answer will be Jim.
Okay. So many good ones though. It's hard to pick, but I'm going to combine a few. And one of the questions is, how will you balance the needs and desires of your constituents with developers? And then I'll say a part B, yes or no, are you accepting campaign donations from property developers?
Controversial. Very good. Jim, did you catch that? Are you able to talk?
I'm going to try to bring Jim on because I think he's muted, doesn't know how to unmute.
Oh, okay, right. And he may have missed the last round, and now that I'm remembering. So he can.
Yeah,
he can
here I am.
back.
Hello?
My apologies, Jim. I'll keep an eye on that and unmute you going.
Yeah, I missed the first question, but that's okay. Go ahead.
Well, Jim, you can take the first question if you like now. If you want to go back to that one.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'll take a question. Yeah.
Okay. We'll give you the first question that everybody answered, and maybe you can tack it on to the second question, and we'll give you like a minute and a half. How's that?
All right. Thanks very much.
The first question was, what would you do to make District 11 more inclusive? And then the second question is around how do you balance the needs and desires of your constituents with developers, and if you're getting any campaign.
The first question, having been with the Spryfield Boys and Girls Club for 10 years, as well as managing the Boys and Girls Club in Halifax while I was on the police department, inclusivity is not a hard thing to do. What it is you have to get to young people, and you have to get through their parents. You have to go to, you have to be seen working in the field. You have to gain trust. So I'll leave it at that because a minute can't do justice to that question. And above all, you have to be colorblind. So that's my answer to the first one. Now, would you repeat the second question?
Sure thing. It was, how do you balance the needs and desires of your constituents and developers, and do you accept campaign donations from property developers?
I didn't take campaign funds in 2012 when I ran against Steve. I will not do that again, and I think it's illegal anyway under the new bylaw, but I'm not quite sure. But I don't take, I fund the campaign myself. And the other thing is developers are reaching out to us here in this community in Spryfield, Prospect, and around the loop. And we have to be very careful that they don't destroy and take up the beautiful landscape that we have and just do too much development of the wrong kind. So yeah, that's high on the list, certainly development.
Thank you. So over to Matthew for the same question.
Would you be able to repeat the first question, please?
Sure thing. I'm thinking I could even just type them on the side here just so everybody can have them to refer to.
That'd be helpful.
Jim,
yeah.
Can you put your mic back on mute, please?
So the question is, how do you balance the needs and desires of your constituents with developers? And then yes or no, are you accepting campaign donations from developers? So there's the question.
All right, thank you. So the first part of that question, obviously within our communities as population growth, development is needed, but we have to ensure that it's the right kind of development and it's done so that it doesn't affect or impact our communities in a negative way, especially, protecting against urban sprawl and things like that. So whether it's through implementing active transportation lanes, more sidewalks, things like that to help where that growth is. We've all see it throughout the whole district. There's many subdivisions popping up and apartment buildings here and there. So working with both sides on that to make sure that it's for the greater good of the community is certainly top of mind. And in terms of accepting donations from developers, Jim hit the nail on the head. It is against the election bylaws. So we're not able to, and I wouldn't anyways. I feel it's important to stick to your humble roots and be a counselor for the residents and not just big business.
Thank you, Matthew. Someone's got their mic not on mute. If you could just test and check, that'd be great. We are moving on to Hannah.
Hey, I got the mute button the first try that time. Yeah, development is a big issue for me because I moved to District 11 because I really missed living in a rural area. I wanted to raise my kids in an area that had a rural community feel. And I know that it's very attractive to people, and so that's why development is coming. There's lots of land here, people want to live here, it looks really exciting, and that's all fantastic. And we should encourage people to move to our communities and bring their strengths with them, but we have to be very careful. Development doesn't take away what makes our community so special. Our wild places, our green spaces, our beautiful coastline. So I do think that development it's something that's going to happen. It's necessary for growth, but we have to be very, very careful that it's development that fits with the community and the community standards. And as a couple of others have mentioned, there is no more donations accepted from companies, but I certainly wouldn't have taken them anyway. I don't think that that allows a person to represent their constituents impartially.
Thank you, Hannah. On to Ambrose.
Hi. Of course, I want to echo what everyone is saying. Accepting donations from developers is against bylaw, so I definitely will not do that. However, some development can be good, but once again, as everybody else is saying, I'm going to echo that as well. I think that especially what Hannah just said, we want to be able to keep our community, our district beautiful, the things that make our district unique and beautiful. We don't want to take those away. So we have to monitor development very closely so that's not impacting our community in a negative way. So, I mean, and that's where I'm really at with that. But like I said, there are developments that can be beneficial.
Thank you, Ambrose. Over to Dawn.
Okay, so in 2016, I was offered donations by developers. I refused them and asked them if they could donate as an individual. I'd be happy to accept their donation because developers are people too. I didn't hear back from them. And so, yeah, this time around, no one will be accepting any money from developers because it's individuals that can have the ability to donate. So I'd like to just prioritize the environment and the people. I think people and environment come first before development. So I say that as someone who supports development because that is a way of assuring we have places for people to work and live and be a part of the community. But at the same time, we have to hold these developments accountable to what City Hall is requiring. For example, affordable living units. If a developer wants to put up something, we got to make sure they're putting up something that's accessible to the whole community and not just people who are more financially well off and able to afford that. Thank
Bruce,
you.
over to you. Thank you, Dawn.
My turn. Thank you. Thank you for the question. It goes back to what I talked about earlier in my opening remarks about the land use bylaws and the municipal planning strategy. If we were to do that review, it's when that review is done, there's public meetings. And so the public can come from each community and talk about what they want to see developed in their community, how they want to develop, the size of the buildings, all of that stuff. So those plans are created with the input from the community, from the residents, and therefore you don't go through this big back and forth about how big a building should be. It's all set in those land use bylaws and in the municipal planning strategy, what developers are allowed to do and what they're not allowed to do. So from that perspective, that's why I think it's so important that those reviews are started to be done. The city has concentrated, in my opinion, too much on the central plan, the downtown plan, over the last 7 years. It's time that they started spending some time working on rural and suburban areas of the municipality. And again, and with respect to the second part of the question, again, the rules don't allow you to take contributions from businesses or unions.
Thanks, Bruce. Over to Matt. Conrad.
All right. So as everyone else is saying, yeah, of course, I would follow the bylaws and not take donations from developers. In terms of the actual urban sprawl and development, we are in maybe one of the fastest growing districts in HRM. And we have a couple issues when it comes to vacancy. I think the last report was less than 1% vacancy. That can cause a lot of issues with people who, with low income, and we need to worry about affordable housing. We need to put pressure on that. As well as going into exploring rent control. But yes, obviously I live in Prospect, so I obviously have chosen to live there for a particular reason. So we do need to protect the area that people have chosen to live in. So we need to be really smart about our development and make sure that we are developing the areas in the right way and not forcing people to change the way they view why they've chosen to live in that area. And I think it is frozen, or is that just me?
Sorry, Matt, I believe I may have distracted you by putting up the time. I won't do that again, but you...
No, that's okay. It froze on me too, so I wasn't quite sure if everyone was hearing me. So that's completely my fault, sorry.
No, thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
Over to Kristen.
Sorry. I definitely wouldn't take money from developers. Of course we can't, but even then, even individually, I'm not sure that there might be a fine line there. But yes, I agree with Matt that we definitely need to look at affordable housing. So there needs definitely to be developed done. And Spryfield looks like it's a great area, but we also have to take into consideration the people that are living here, because as we build up the community, Governor's Brook is a great example. It's impacting the 500 block, which is making those rents also unaffordable for people. So we need to look at our constituents and that particular area, and the rest of the urban sprawl out to Heron Cove and around, and then Terrence Bay and down that way. We also want to make sure we keep our district as part of that shoreline and that beautiful drive down to Peggy's Cove and all of that into consideration, as well as infrastructure getting onto the peninsula is also going to be impacted as well. So we need to take all of those into consideration while we look forward to what we're developing and how we're developing.
Thank you, Kristen. And back to Lisa. Hey, Lisa, you able to hit the mute button?
Hello, is Mike taking me off of mute?
Yeah, you're good. Off you
Just
go.
so you guys know, anybody who's on a dial-in, I have to unmute them.
Right. So can you hear me now?
We sure can.
Hello?
Go ahead.
Okay, good. Okay, so really quickly, development is a great thing. It is a really good thing for our city. It's a really great thing for our province. This is an incredible place to live. The more people we bring here, the better it is for us. That being said, there is plenty of opportunity for public engagement in development. So as Mr. Holland mentioned earlier, the land use bylaws, those are in place. They need to, anytime a developer wants to develop, they have to make applications. As city councillor, it would be my responsibility, and I would be very strongly active in creating public forums for the public to come together to hear what developers want to do, to make sure that they have their input, and then champion those in City Hall should there be a challenge to the land use bylaw. No, I will not accept any donations.
Perfect.
Does that sum it up?
Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you, Lisa.
You're welcome.
So next we have a new question, and we have Matt Duffy up to bat for first place. Off to you, Marnie.
Okay. The question is, if elected immediately, what would be the single most important issue in your opinion, based on what you know to date, that you would want to rectify and focus on? And I know a couple of people answered it, I saw in the chat, so you can tack on if you're going to be considering this as a full-time role if elected.
Okay. I think the biggest issue that most people face right now, and especially something that may have been onset by COVID, is there's a lot of fear from what I've heard of the raising of taxes to help recover from all of this. I feel that it's very important that council, current and future, ensure that taxes remain affordable, and I would not support a tax increase to help recover from COVID-19. So, and along with that, making sure that taxes are spent wisely, going for every dollar that we can is a huge thing for me. I hate seeing waste. I work for a nonprofit, so I'm very used to making sure that the dollars are spent wisely. And as a follow-up to that, if I was elected, I would phase out from my current position at the Fishery Safety Association once my employer is able to find a suitable candidate to take over my role.
Thank you. So I believe we're on to Hannah.
Okay, I'd like to apologize first of all for my lighting. I'm not a lighting tech, and I'm sure you can all tell. Very quickly, yes, council, if I were elected, would be my only role. I have been self-employed for the last 10 years. I run a small home daycare, which is currently closed for COVID and will be closing permanently in the middle of August. So from August 15th onwards, I'm all yours, available for questions, video meetings, phone calls, whatever. As far as what my first priority would be, yeah, it's a difficult question because, of course, pre-COVID, I might have had a different answer. But I still think that one of the biggest things that people complain about in this part of the district, and I know it's a big issue in the Spryfield area as well, is the traffic getting to and from our jobs. It's very difficult. It takes a lot of time sometimes to get to our jobs. And so particularly with the transit system being so suffering such funding pressures right now because of COVID, I think it would be really important to focus on that integrated transportation strategy to try and make that easier for people, encourage people to look at different ways to get to work. And just as the economy starts to open up again, take this as an opportunity to improve that whole process around commuting and traffic and getting to and from work. Did I lose you, Anne-Marie?
Sorry. Oh, thank you, Hannah. Off to Ambrose.
Yeah, hi. If elected, currently I'm in the security, private security industry, and I work full time. I would leave that job, so I'm available to do my job as District 11 Consular full time, and be there anytime. Call me anytime you want. I'll be there, and see if we can solve some problems and build our community. As far as some of the things, maybe a couple of things. I know frontline workers in general, we found out how essential they are. I think that monetarily wise, for example, someone working in a nursing home, these people should be getting more money, period. They should be getting paid more for what I've watched. And all the frontline workers should be really recognized, especially during this COVID-19 and what we've seen so far. Also, I like what Matthew said earlier, be very careful about how we go about raising taxes, because somehow the money has to go back. And so, you know. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambrose. Off to Dawn.
So was the question that wondering if we would be working full-time as a candidate in District 11?
Yeah, that was part 2 of the question. The first part was, what would be the single most important issue if you were elected based on what you know to date? What would you focus on right away?
So yes, District 11 would be my full-time job. It has been my part-time job for the past roughly 7 or 8 years, just doing the community work that I do. And so I would leave my position as a personal care worker, which is my paid labor. I'm also an entrepreneur, so I'm always thinking of ways to make money that also help others at the same time, but looking very much forward to just dropping all that and being able to focus on representing people within the district. It is a life dream, a life plan, a life goal, and it'll happen for me either this October or in another election. And I believe the most pressing issue in District 11 is the fact that a lot of the constituents don't have access to safe drinking water, and safe drinking water is a right. I know the feds earmarked some money for Harriet's Field, and I will be there making sure that that comes in. Keeping all levels of government accountable. Thank you.
Thanks, Dawn. I have to eat humble pie for Pete. Apparently I forgot him last round. So Pete, you can take the question in whichever order you like. So you've got 3 questions altogether to tackle here. We'll give you 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes. How about that?
No problem. First question from before was, obviously, as with everybody else, the rules are pretty strict this year, and obviously dictate not accepting campaign contributions from businesses. So that's a no-brainer, no issue. As for, I'm trying to remember what the second part of that question was. Development, and so development it's a tricky topic because it is very important, and I think that Mr. Holland certainly hit a bunch of the things there in the head. That zoning bylaws, we need to be strict with those. They'll continue to show and allow us to develop in areas that we need it, whether it's low-income housing or affordable housing, or even in the outskirts. I mean, I live in Ketch Harbor, which is a beautiful area, but we don't want massive subdivisions built, that kind of stuff. So it all comes down to bylaws and zoning. But again, on the other side of this sword is that some of this development, as long as it's done properly, will help bring money to develop transportation. Areas like Prospect or the Sambro Loop that don't have any kind of buses at the moment. The more population that's out here, and again, it's teeter on the edge here to make sure that we don't go too far. But the more that we have, the more chance of funding towards those things. On to the next question as to what would be the first thing I would do. Right now, being able to watch the budget, virtual budget meetings over the last couple of days, there's going to be some substantial work to dig out of this COVID-19 situation. It's going to take all of the councillors to roll up their sleeves, be creative, be inventive, be efficient with all of the budgets. I don't know that I could pick one topic. Right now, there's so many topics, and the money needs to be done efficiently. As for the last part of that question, as I actually got caught in the COVID-19, so I actually am now unemployed as of last Wednesday. So my intention is to devote my attention to running my campaign, and I can see that this job actually requires, especially in the initial stage, is going to require, especially again with the COVID-19 situation, is going to require an extensive amount of labor and time and effort to make sure that not just our district but the entire HRM is going to be able to get through this and make sure that we don't leave anybody behind.
Thanks, Pete. I believe the next person to talk will be Bruce.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Well, you know, there's many issues that are important to me. Rural bus, transit, seniors programs, traffic. But I think the single most important one is keeping taxes down. You know, we have a pretty good tax base in Halifax, and we have development going on all the time, so that assessment is going up all the time. And as the assessment goes up, the revenue that comes into the municipality goes up. So there shouldn't be a need to increase the tax rate. So that'll be the thing that I'll focus on the most. I work now in Spryfield. I'm there every day, day in and day out. Well, not right now because of COVID, but usually. And I will continue to be full-time in the district. Be a full-time job for me, no question. You can't do it. I'm going to tell you, all the other candidates, you will not be able to do another job and do this one.
Thank you, Bruce.
Thank you.
Who's up next, Marnie?
I think it's Matt. Am I right?
Yep. So, so question number one: what's important to me? So, yeah, obviously, what's important to me is a lot of people spoke about this, and that is cost. I think that if we can keep taxes down, then we need cost of living, but not even just taxes, but all around cost of living. Whatever I can do to help keep cost of living down, that's where I think I can best serve in that regard. Obviously, municipal council has no power over minimum wage, so the best place that we can help people out is to keep costs down. Now, in terms of would I continue working in my current role as well as councillor, I'm going to have to do the transition. I would have to work with my current employer to make a transition to full-time councillor.
Thank you. On to Kristen.
So what's important to me is going again back to food. Before COVID, during COVID, food has been a big problem in Halifax, getting affordable food. We have 40% of kids that don't eat in the province. That's bad, and Halifax is a huge part of that. Halifax is one of the lowest cities in the country for child poverty and for food insecurity. That is where I would start, especially now seeing all the gaps that COVID has created. And as we move forward through this and people become unemployed or the money isn't as accessible as it has been through April and May, through with the extra GST and the child tax benefits, we're going to have more and more people accessing our food banks. There's a reason food banks were deemed essential service, but that can't be all it is. We're going to have to look at how we're going to be able to feed all the people that live in this city, and that is going to be that would be my big priority, working with the people that do the mobile food market. The second part is I would have to do a transition with my employer to make sure that this organization stays operational while I transition, yes, to be full-time, because I believe that I need to be full-time to do this job and to do it well. But there's definitely pieces that I would want to keep volunteering with and working with the organization in some capacity.
Thanks, Kristen. Okay, back to Lisa. Mike, you may need to unmute Lisa.
Hello? Okay, great. There I am. I'm waiting. Okay, so to answer the second part first, I am making the commitment to do this job full-time. I agree that this is something that requires a full-time commitment, so that is 100% my commitment is to do this full-time. I think there are a number of things, and my priorities are to serve the constituents. And so over the course of the campaign, we will be hearing a lot of things from the constituents about what our priorities should be. So my very first thing to do, if I were to be elected and to join council, would be to take that list of priorities and do those. It's not about what I want, it's about what the constituents want. The things that the constituents ask and put on priority list would be the things I would do first. Look on get onto standing committees that directly impact those desires and making sure that I'm their voice in council.
Thank you, Lisa. To Jim now, and Mike, you'll have to mute Jim. Unmute.
Yes, hello. Can you hear me?
Sure can.
Hello? Yes, okay. Well, the first thing I would do would be certainly be a full-time counselor. Now, the second question is my priority is going to be a feet on the ground. Having my experience with the first community office in Spryfield, in the Captain Spry Center, working with the community, what I intend to do if elected, I will have, if we're talking Spryfield right now tonight, I will have a constituency office much like the MLA does, and it will be situated either in the high school if I can to utilize the youth there, and or I'll have seniors. There's plenty of seniors out there for volunteers and other people in the neighborhoods, and I will definitely have an officer that'll be on a rotating basis. We will eventually get down to Prospect Road, or I don't have to go around the loop because we'll be in Spryfield. So that's my first priority right from the get-go, and the rest is going to take care of itself. Oh, by the way, I will be out to challenge not only the youth, but the mentally challenged, and we'll have lots of diversity in those community offices. Thank you.
Love to hear that idea, Jim. Thank you so much. I think we already started with Matthew, so we're back around. We've done all the candidates for 3 rounds of questions. That's great. Folks, will we call it quits there? It's 10 to 9. I know we probably could all get up and stretch. So let's do that. It's been wonderful to hear you tonight. You know, really inspires me again for any of the issues that we've talked about tonight. Always so much to do, and great to have a full roster of candidates like yourselves to be able to tackle some of these issues in the future. So thanks so much for running. Even if you're not the preferred candidate for the region in the end, you know, just as I believe Stephen and others have mentioned along the way, you're so incredibly brave just to run. And so we really appreciate all that you're doing, and wish you the best of luck in your campaign. So Stephen, Marjorie, if you'd like to say a few words to wrap us up, we can head out.
And maybe can I just say really quickly, there's a ton of questions that we didn't get to, and I apologize to that. I tried to pick sort of the ones that maybe we could answer the most broadly for everyone. So I think what we've said is maybe we can email these out to all the candidates, and if they want to respond, maybe we can post it on our Facebook page if we get the responses back. Is that the best approach to take them from there? Because I don't want to leave anybody's questions out.
Yeah, we'll commit to get the questions to the candidates, and we'll talk to the candidates after the fact as to how they want to manage it and see what the consensus is. But we definitely promise to our audience that they'll get it. Had a great audience here. We were peaking at one point maybe up to 95 people, but 45 on Zoom, including our own association and the candidates, but still a reasonably good number. So I hope everyone has felt it's been worthwhile tonight. Marjorie, Stephen, would you like to say a few words?
I'll just very quickly and thank you, and thanks everybody for your participation this evening. There were some pretty tough questions, some very good answers. It's a lot different doing this on a screen than it is doing it in person. If you felt awkward or a little uncomfortable or things didn't go out right, here's a news flash: you're normal. So, and again, my offer stands. If you have any questions or would like just to talk about something, or if you get discouraged, give me a call. I'll be there for you. Have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. Marjorie, you want to put a plug in for our next meeting?
Yeah, thank you all of you for participating, and I no doubt there are a few more candidates who are yet to come out of the woodwork, so times are getting even more exciting. I just want to remind everyone who's listening that our monthly meeting is the last Wednesday of the month at 7 o'clock at the Captain Spry Center. And you're welcome to come and sit in and listen and hear what we talk about and decide if you want to get involved either on the board or on one of our working committees. So thank you again, everyone, and have a good evening.
And just to add to that, Marjorie, I think we will be doing a Zoom call for our next meeting on May 27th. Stay tuned for details. We'll post on Facebook and Twitter. And hope to hear from some of you again, and really appreciate the audience participation tonight. Lots of good ideas. We'd love to hear from you and have you get involved in the things that we try to advance for the community. Thanks to everybody, the candidates, for taking the time tonight, all my co-volunteers and the Community Association, and particularly Mike, who took extra time for all the technology solutions. So thank you, Mike. Have a great night, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.